Yeah, I did have some nice hind legs. I just had to do the hind legs one. Yeah, so it was good.
You cut it up, it only been like quarter size.
That's right.
Quarter size pork chop. Medallions.
Yes, they've been medallions for sure. All right, you ready? Bristol, not yet?
2 seconds,
Okay.
almost done. Okay.
You ready now?
Sweet.
All right, so we'll just open up our meeting. It is 6:10 on the 8th of November, 2023. This is the scheduled planning and zoning meeting. Members present are Sean, Cameron, Bronwyn, and Wyatt. Ken is absent this month, he's a bit under the weather, and Angela couldn't make it. She's gone to a funeral. So we'll move on to, item number B, declaration of conflict of interest. Sean? None. Cameron, no. Bronwyn?
No.
Wyatt? No. All right, we'll move on to C. This is review and approval of minutes, the draft minute from September 9th, 2023. So it'll be the September 9th and October 11th meetings.
Yeah.
I was not at the October meeting, but
Most people haven't had a chance to read them.
I was not at either. The September one, you were at the September one again. John?
The September ones I've gone through and made suggestions, changes, so I've read them. Those have been updated.
I've updated the.
Yep, so September,
I haven't been over.
I was fine with September, October looked fine to me, but I wasn't meeting, so.
good. October, they're fine with me. They were short, nice.
I'll entertain a motion if someone wants to make it either way.
I'd make a motion, we approve the minutes from September's planning and zoning meeting and October planning.
Sean's made the motion, do I have a second? I'll second the motion. Any further discussion? We'll vote, Sean,
Yeah,
Cameron, yes, Bronwyn. Wyatt. All right. That's 3 yeses, the minutes are approved.
I
Abstain. All right, so we'll move into item number D, open forum, 2 minutes for a speaker. This is for anything not on the agenda. No, all right, we don't have anything, we'll move on to item number E then, commissioner comments. Wyatt, you have anything?
I do.
Bronwyn?
I want to think about comments.
Brian, can you talk to the mic?
Bronwyn said she's gonna reserve her comments to the end. And that's fine. The one thing that I add on commissioner comments is, Bronwyn and I and Misty and Jean have been working on the short-term rental ordinance. We're hoping to have that completed up here in the next few weeks. Yeah. So if you guys have input on that, feel free to reach out to either one of us, or alternatively, you can reach out to Misty and Jean as well. Okay, Sean?
Um. Well, last month we talked about the transportation plan. Here's the problems for sharing a paper copy, hard copies, so I really write my comments all over there. So maybe in the future we can discuss that if it needs anything.
Hopefully next meeting.
Then just want to reiterate that we have a couple more meetings left. The, good law, bad law. Bad law is one that creates criminals or creative entrepreneurs. A good law,
And never actually.
okay, is one that regulates the control of government, not the people. So, always try to keep that in mind as I'm writing stuff up, and I've got a lot on the discussion items today, and so that's the principles I use to make sure I wrote those correctly.
Thanks, Sean. All right, if that's no other comments at this time, I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Great motion to open the public hearing, close the public meeting, open the public hearing.
Awesome, so I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
So Brown made that motion, Sean seconded the motion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we'll move into our public hearing, we'll start with item number 1. This is, an ordinance amending chapter 2.30 of Booler. This is, Sean, you want to go ahead and explain this one then? This was one of the last month that was.
Okay, just really quickly explaining that, and then we can, I'll say more during our discussion. Explanation is, the process for amendments to Hulu. Wanted to clarify it a little more, as you can see, it's 2 big paragraphs. Wanted to reformat that, so it's a little bit clearer. What's happening, also making sure that citizens can understand how they can submit stuff, how planning and zoning can approve and then get the town council to look at it, as well as how the town council can submit stuff and then have us return that to them. Now, between what we discussed last month and what was submitted for public hearing, it said 30 days that it has to be returned, and I changed that back up to the 45, which is more consistent with other amount of days that we have in to return things or look at things in other parts of our ordinance, and that's really all of those things.
Thanks, Sean. Any public comment on this item at this time? Is there any written public comment, Crystal?
There was no, written also related. Comment.
Okay, thank you. If there's no public comment on this item, we'll move on to item number 2. This is amending Google 60.06.B.5 of buildings. John, you can go ahead with this one, please, for this chair as well.
After seeing an issue cropped up quite a few times of the appeal process. Looking at it, this is similar to conditional use. Appeal, which we approved conditional uses. And therefore the appeal authority after us would be town council. And then, once it's gone through the full land use authority, then it goes to the appeal authority. Is how conditional uses go, and so I felt that this one as well should follow that same process. In the current ordinance, it says staff is the ones who approve the permits. Therefore, I felt it was necessary that following that same logic and process that the town council. That's the only part I added, was town council is the legislative body of the land use authority. It is to receive that first appeal, and then subsequent appeal would go to the town appeal. And then definitely we need to change the claim date. Because it said 10 business days to appeal the decision. And in all of our ordinances and state law, it also says, it says 15 days, so we wanted to make sure that that is changed.
All right, public comment on this item? Okay. So there's no further public comment, I'll entertain a motion.
You're making a motion to close the public hearing and open the public meeting.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Nothing.
Wyatt made the motion, Brown seconded the motion, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, the next item, so the first item on our public meeting is the same item from our public, item one of our public hearing. This is 2.30. You can start the discussion on this one. At this time.
Want to draw your attention to the bottom part of that document that was submitted. There's extra information. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at that as well.
On the request for Virgin Town Council action sheet.
Below that, yeah. Right below that, there's extra information. I know I put it in an email to everybody to look at that, but it's just planning commission powers and duties. This is state law. So just highlighted some of the things planning and zoning is in state law required to do.
Well, honestly, yeah, sorry, I didn't make that far below last time. Discussion on this item? Wyatt?
Yeah. I like it, I think. Makes it a lot easier to follow than 2 paragraphs, and I like some of the things that were added. Into.
Thanks, Wyatt. Brown?
I think 45 days. I just don't agree with the putting a time limit on. First of all, let me just say, Sean, I really like that you followed the process. I love that you documented it. You know, you did the form, you did the whole process, you did right, and I think we need to follow that, and I appreciate that. I don't really agree with requiring the town council in this sense, requiring them to get back to us. I think that's. I think that's our job.
Can I What?
Because what that does is that means that we have to set their agenda.
No.
Now, if they can just send us a note and say, hey, we're not gonna look at this time, that's one thing. But if we're requiring them to put up on the agenda for the next meeting and have a decision, I don't think that's in our purview.
I think it protects residents and those people who are trying to get through in a timely manner, so that like if I come in and I need approval to whatever I might need approval for, or at the town council's vote or something, if I come in and it just keeps getting put off and put off and put off and put off.
I don't disagree with
This is way
some limitation.
to protect that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I just think this is too. I agree with the idea that they either need to get back to us in some way, but I would do 2 meetings. I think that they have 2 meetings, they should have a 2 meeting cycle to either just inform the chair that it won't be heard. In a time, we're gonna hear this within the 60-day period you have designated, so, if you wanna resubmit something, or if you wanna wait for us, I don't know, let us know, and communication's important, but I just think the timeline's wrong, we can't set the agenda for the town council, there's no way, they have all kinds of other business. And it's just, doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, but I do think they shouldn't be able to go indefinitely, and I do think they shouldn't be able to manipulate. That's a thing too, so. In principle, I agree with, what?
Too bad that hasn't happened.
Anyway, so, I mean, I think all manipulating should quit, like, anybody who's manipulating things, like, not, that really is one of my biggest pet peeves with this little tiny town, like, nobody should be doing that. We should all just be playing straight. That's how I feel. Soapbox.
Be the dream.
So,
Live the dream, baby, live the dream.
so his ordinance doesn't say that it has to be voted on 45 days.
What's the wording exactly?
It just says heard.
Yeah.
Required to return documents. We have to do them, so it just has to be heard. What does heard mean?
On the agenda,
On the agenda.
We'll see now that.
they can table it. 45 days makes it 2 meetings, like you said, because they don't have to hear it the first month. They can hear it the next month. And just hearing, just that it gets on the agenda within 2 months is very reasonable. And that's it. If they want to table it, they can table it for another 6 months. Tabling means
Do
you,
they have the option to just notify that they're not gonna put on the agenda? What if it's something they don't want? on the agenda at that time? What if it's, I mean, I think 2 months is getting closer. To something that's reasonable.
Well, I think by having it on the, by forcing it onto the agenda, then if they want to table it till the next meeting or whatever, they have that ability to do so, but by having it there, it's not gonna get lost in limbo like a few of the ordinances have in the past where ordinances made it through planning and zoning or vice versa, and then it gets lost in between somewhere because there's so much time in between and it gets forgotten about.
Well,
Like we had that situation a few months ago where we had an ordinance that we had sent on, but it never got picked up by the
yeah,
council, and so I
we
think
have
by,
lots of those.
by having a limit on or a deadline on it per se, that there is less likelihood of it just getting lost in the shuffle.
What if it's something that, is there another, interesting thing, like, can they notify us back that, hey, that's not gonna get heard within your time period? I mean, do they have that option too? Like, what if it really just can't be? I don't know.
I'm hard pressed to see how,
Only because
I'm just hard pressed to see how 5 minutes in a meeting to say, call for a vote on tabling item number 6 is of such inconvenience that it's,
Well, if they were only dealing with planning and zoning issues, I 100% agree. If they were only dealing with planning and zoning, they should hear it the next month. They're not, they're dealing with everything.
so I'm not asking, is 5 minutes too much to ask?
It depends whether there's
call over.
40 things that they're dealing with. It really does.
that's what our city representatives are there for, though. Not to have a short meeting. to have a discussion. If I as a citizen, not as planning and zoning, was put something forward, it would have to go through us. And then it would go to town council after our recommendation. If the town council never puts it on the agenda, wouldn't we be a little frustrated? Because
No, I am
they-
frustrated with the
They
things that
are
don't get
your
updated.
representatives, they're supposed to represent the citizens. We get to hear all the public input from public hearings, and then we submit that stuff up to town council. If it never gets on the agenda,
Right, okay, I know, so let me be more clear, I'm not making.
so it needs to be on the agenda, they require us to do that.
Well, that is irrelevant.
And so I'm like, why isn't it go both ways?
Okay, so, well,
So the keeping balance within the different areas of government is a good thing. And this is a way to balance that.
but what, a committee is never balanced, should never be is not a balance to an elected body. It's supplementary.
No, I'm talking administrative compared to a, not the elected body, the administrative. The mayor is administrative.
Yeah, but this,
And
we're not
just
just
have it
talking about,
charged.
so you're just trying to require the mayor to get this back. I thought we were talking about
No.
town council.
It is the town council. It's the town council as two members can put an item on the agenda.
Okay,
So that's possible.
so I understand that. So when you,
Why are you, please explain
Oh,
why
wait,
you're
thank you,
worried
let me clear.
about
so
this
I think that
45 days, which is.
I think there needs to be a way for them to say, we can word it however we want to. It needs to be on agenda within 2 meetings, or we need a reasonable explanation, reasonable notification that that's not gonna happen and why. So I think accountability needs to be there. I think the time demand is not our purview. If that makes any sense. I mean, as far as you have to get this through.
Wrong one here. Time demand is. I just can't see it.
Well,
It
remember,
takes 5 minutes to call a vote. Should we try it?
okay, so that's really smart assy, and I think it's rude.
But no, I'm serious though, because you're ignoring that.
I'm not.
You
ignoring-
have not explained though how 5 minutes is too much. to
Number one,
ask.
where did you get the 5 minutes?
That's how long it
Could
takes
be
to
2
call a vote.
minutes. Could be 30 seconds.
Okay, so
If they don't wanna see it,
I just don't
Then they
believe
just
that it's
call
our
it a vote.
purview to require the town council to do that. That's it. I
then
mean,
how
that's
do
simple.
you propose then that we solve the problem of ordinances being lost?
I just told you. Within-
No, because that doesn't, because they send a letter back saying it's not gonna make it on our next 2 meetings, and then what happens to it?
And we forget about it, we forget about it.
And then 2 months later,
I
everyone's
understand the
forgotten.
frustration, I just don't think we're the right solution.
No, I'm asking, what do you propose?
I told you, but I would put language in it that said the reasons they cannot, the reasons that, if there was some. And I'd have to, I mean, number one, they shouldn't be making this rule. They should be saying, we'll get things to the, when we get things from the planning
Well, they
zone.
will be making this rule, we're only yes, recommendation.
That's exactly.
Well, so I'm okay if they
They'll have to adopt this.
So I support the premise, if it's not, I'm not gonna require, I don't wanna require 45 days, and you guys can outvote me if you want. But either 2 meetings, or they have to notify us. And I think we can put language in there that says things cannot disappear. I don't know how you put that, because that has happened, and I think it's not right.
We only make the recommendation. The town council will have the opportunity to put this exactly as they wish. To fix it for them, because they see the problem too. And hopefully they can fix the problem. If they don't like this wording, then one, they'll say, hey, we'll send it back to you, you guys come up with something else. Or 2, they'll say, okay, let's fix it ourselves and do it, or they'll pass it just like it is. So it's up to them, it's always
I get
up
all
to
of
them.
that. Do you
This is
understand that I
just a
just don't,
recommendation,
I understand.
and this is the most reasonable recommendation. It doesn't go clear to this extreme or this extreme, it's right there in the middle, right where law should be. That regulates government.
Well, I can't vote, I mean, the other thing, and if you want me to be completely straight, is I think it's super important not to target anybody in an ordinance, like you don't target, you just set the rules. So to say the mayor can't hold it, that's sort of accusatory, now, and this isn't a personal thing, this is just a like propriety, sense of propriety thing. I just think the word.
It's not saying the mayor, it's saying mayor, any mayor. I'm
Oh, but
talking in the
shouldn't it say
future, it
city
doesn't
council
matter who.
and a mayor or any entity, shouldn't it say something other than?
Sure, if that's what you want, that's in the reasoning why.
I understand.
It's not in the ordinance. The
Okay.
ordinance is there and they can judge whether or not it says that directly or not, and then vote on it. They get to vote and make it a law. We don't.
So,
We just
my-
recommend.
I hear you, and my
So
basic
what
position is.
recommendation would you put in that would solve the problem that we're trying to solve by this simple ordinance?
Well. I'm okay with 2 months and we're either informed or. I'm not completely opposed to having them put it on the agenda, if that wording is super clear. It's super clear that within 2 months, it's put on the agenda and either tabled or whatever, that's fine, I think the wording makes it sound like they have to do more than that. You don't think?
So what
They
you're at,
don't have to make a decision on it, that's not fair for us to just,
let me ask you this, so
yeah,
if it read something like any ordinance, given a recommendation by a vote of the planning and zoning commission, because it's the planning and zoning commission, must appear,
must be placed on the.
must
agenda.
appear on the town council's agenda until acted upon.
No. Until acted upon, it must be.
Until given a vote. That doesn't require them to vote on it, it's just saying that it would be on the agenda until they.
I think you can't require them to vote, I think placed on the agenda is closer to what might be.
Right, but I'm just saying, it'll be on the agenda until they make a vote on it.
No,
Not that they have to do anything on it, but that it's just on the agenda until they.
I don't think you can require a vote, in fact, our agenda is
I
actually.
didn't require them to do a
You
vote
just said those words.
until they vote upon it. So it's on the agenda until they vote. Not, they have to vote.
No, I understand that, and I just don't agree with that.
You just told me I'm forcing them to vote. I'm not forcing them to vote.
Okay, Karen, I don't, so you guys have enough votes to pass this. If you don't like the way I'm thinking about it, just pass it without me, but I don't agree with the wording. I agree with the principle, I just don't think we're there. That's it.
But you haven't proposed anything.
She did propose another,
I did, I said that they need to notify us.
But-
Either give us
but
no,
that falls short of fixing the problem.
and that's fine that you think that.
Can you explain how it doesn't?
Let me say this again, see if I can fix it.
No, I got it. How does a letter coming back to us in 2 months that says, hey, we're not gonna look at this for a few more months? And then,
It provides accountability without exercising authority that we don't have.
So those words are already in this, if you haven't read it. Clearly, it says at the very end, or as soon thereafter as possible. It doesn't require 45 days. It requires as soon thereafter as possible. On both us and the town council. That should be sufficient enough. The 45 days is already there in the law for us to send something back to them.
So then, if
So all we're doing-
as soon thereafter is in there, then your entire point, I mean, that's fine, that makes it easy for me, but then then the accountability is gone. According to you.
That's what the recommendation by Kent was last time I put that in.
Yeah, yeah.
I also put the 45 days in for you.
So
So
can we
we
take out,
resolved
can we
those.
take out or add, let's change the language that says, put planning and zoning commission instead of land use authority, because that's not. right? Is that what you were saying, Cameron?
It just says commission.
Okay, so let's just say planning commission, and then let's take out the line about the mayor and just say mayor and town council, just to be appropriate.
It's not in there.
It's
I don't know.
amazing, just make the word pretty, just make it not targeted and unhappy.
Why are you so worried about that?
Because I think it's vindictive and I think we should. stay
Why,
away from that.
why would you think that I'm doing something like
I
that
don't-
specifically for that? I'm saying the administrative arm,
Well, so let's just,
the administrative arm also needs regulation at times.
that's not our
And
job.
administrative, the town council can do that. And the town council is going to decide.
Okay,
And so if you present it any other way, what is the town council isn't going to see it that way. You have to present the argument, the reasoning why is the administrative arm is in charge of that agenda. So the town council needs to also realize that they need to have authority as a land use authority to be able to represent all of the people. It's not just the administrative side, okay? So I've had 6 ordinances personally that I know of that have not had any, or there's 2 of them that have not been on the agenda for more than 5 months.
I know.
So
I know
they're
where you're
being
coming
lost,
from.
we know what's happening, and it will continue to happen regardless of who the mayor is, regardless of who the town council is. This creates a law that requires those things to happen. They don't have to vote yes or no, they have to vote, they have to just have it on an agenda, be
That's
heard, it just says be heard. And that's all we want is it to be heard. So that is what's supposed to happen with government, is the laws are supposed to be heard, the recommendations are supposed to be heard. This simply does that, and I don't know why we're fussing about this without changing 1 or 2 words if you have comment on this one specifically. But it says what you're trying to, what you want. I put in what you wanted and what Kent wanted. It does the job sufficiently. It doesn't have huge teeth in it. We wanted it to have teeth. I would have made it to 30 days. I would have said required to be put on the agenda. Okay, so I went the middle ground already. I shouldn't have. I should have went here and then we would have met at 45 days. Okay, so at least we're getting somewhere. Why do we need to go to the other extreme
Just,
and not do
do
anything?
you see any language in there that you think is, could be less targeted?
I don't see where you're saying, where it even says the word mayor, I'm trying to read through it and see it.
It says very
It's at
top.
the very, it's just at the top. I just think we should
At the very
put that
top.
in, I don't wanna pass that on like that, just don't feel good about it.
I'm still trying to find that.
It's number 4 on your
Number
list.
4.
Number 4 is create to spread the authority for making changes throughout the whole of the land use authority and not leave it on
But that's-
the direction of the mayor's agenda. Is that not true statement? It's completely.
How about if you just put a period after land use authority?
Fine, if that's what it takes, let's do that, but it is exactly a true statement.
Well, and Sean, I'm not arguing that, we're talking about writing code and writing, so that's, we're talking about appropriately writing code, we're not talking about we're not proving anything true or false here, that's not what we're doing.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion.
Please,
I'd like to make a motion that we approve, or we recommend approval for item 1 on Hartsville Meeting Blue 2.30.
Alright, did that right, Ken? You did. Well, I made the motion to recommend approval, do I have a second?
Awesome.
Ron seconded that motion. Any further discussion?
No, I'm good.
I think, sorry, John, I think this was good progress, but I don't think it actually solves the problem on this yet, just to be heard within 45 days, but I think you have to do more than that to actually solve the problem, so.
Good start though. And right now. We got 2 paragraphs of.
That's true, it's the separation is a very nice section. We'll vote Wyatt,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Cameron, no, Sean,
Yes.
the motion passes. So,
Wait, did we make the changes then?
John,
With that period?
you're gonna make the changes to your reasoning?
Yeah, and a period after land use authority.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's not what I can make right here, right now,
You
On
can
the-
dollar.
on the
You
Word
can.
document.
Yeah, if you open,
That's what I'm gonna transfer over.
you open up the non, yeah.
Yeah, it's got. Period. Good.
Yeah.
And just a follow-up comment. The town council passing something like this is like them voting for a reduction.
Okay. I know.
So it doesn't.
I understand that, no, but partly, like, because I appreciate the process that you did, and the compromise, all that. All that's great.
Right. Thank you, Ron, thank you, Sean. We'll move on to number 2. This is the amending Blue 60.06. B. 0.06.5 don't be there. Yeah, I'll get it correct. All right, comments? Did you change that wording in the Word doc? Or should I do that?
If you wanna do it again.
Oh, yeah, I did it.
Okay.
Okay, so we're on 60, discussion. Why?
See, do I have further information? Yeah. I'm sorry, I failed to put further arguments, the extra information, which was on number 2 for reasons to change the appeal authorities. To only hear cases that were decided previously by the full land use authority. That particular thing is under the section of the land use authority or the appeal authority. And specifically said that he has to hear things from that, but I do realize that the land use authority can delegate that authority. And again, I think it goes down to, we have decided as the commission and the town council is, or to put it into law, that for conditional uses. And in essence, most of the stuff that permits themselves for these will be decided by staff, which in essence are kind of like delegating authority. But I believe that the representative body and legislative body representing the citizens of the town should be the ones, they can't skip the responsibility of having to make a decision on something like this. If somebody appeals from staff or from the planning and zoning, I believe it should go to town council. They should put their vote to it. So then the citizens can see those votes and say, okay, I like their vote, or we can vote somebody else in next time. If the current process bypasses them and goes straight to the appeal authority, and the appeal authority as a quasi judge makes that decision. And then that person can then appeal it to district court if they want. Town council doesn't have to make any decision at all. I think that bypasses the whole, their responsibility, and I think this would put that right back in place where they would at least be present and be able to, share how they feel, how they're going to vote, how they're going to represent the citizens.
Comment. Why not do it wrong? So. My only thought when I read this, and sorry, I wasn't the last meeting, so I was involved in it, second was, because it's so expensive to appeal to the town appeal authority, yeah, it's pretty expensive, and it would be nice if there was a route for someone. I mean, it's not a matter of someone that's run the business or, you know, a huge business, but it wouldn't matter if someone was just doing something minor, so. Giving them that option seemed like a good choice to me, but that was the only comment I had.
Does it affect any other? Nothing except for, residential hosting.
Yes, this one, because this is the only one that does that, really commits by the staff, go to that. This law was specifically written that way. Back when it was first written, and I think it just got missed that was in there instead of following the other process that we.
Well, the cost is a concern, actually.
And residential hosting is done mostly by.
That's what I'm saying. That is a legitimate concern to me. I don't think it should cost a huge fortune. On the other hand, it kind of dilutes. You know, what do they need us for? What do they need us for? It just gets kicked, gets kicked, and gets, we don't know what's done.
And so it doesn't eliminate us because.
I know it doesn't eliminate us, it just makes us redundant. Which we already are really bored, I mean, they're gonna get rid of plenty of zoning commissions if they can anyways, I hate to make us less useful, but I don't care that much. I think I don't think it's harmful this much.
Does this ordinance even have, like, does anyone who gets residential hosting permit even complete planning?
No.
No, so this wouldn't affect us, anyway.
Then why are we, then why
This is,
are we?
as far as like, us as a permitting body.
So why are we even doing this? Because we thought about it much, okay, good.
So if someone's residential
I get it.
hosting,
Get what we're doing.
Right
just
now, they would
don't know
typically-
why.
right
I'm
now-
just questioning the why, that's all.
right now they would have to go appeal straight to the appeal authority who's a lawyer. And then we require them, they pay his fees.
Yeah, I get it, I understand the process,
And then-
it's fine, and it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess it's really very important.
Wouldn't that add about more time to the appeal process though?
Well, that.
We could,
Thing
but-
last time.
So, yeah, the next part would be to go back through all of our codes and set those time limits. for permitting, and we talked about that last one, a little bit about how long it takes once a application is received. And it moves down the chain, how long that stuff will take. Yeah, this would be one more step, but again, I think it's an important step, just like conditional uses have to be included in county council.
Right, proposal that we recommend approval of amending rule 60.06.
Wise made a motion to recommend approval, do I have a second?
One second.
Sean seconded that motion. Any further discussion? We'll vote then. Sean,
Yes.
Cameron, yes, Brown,
Yes,
Wyatt, yes. All right, vote unanimous, yes, all right.
We'll see another pay cut on, we'll see.
yeah. I get the principle you're trying to put forward.
All right, discussion items. So, yeah, now we'll move into our work meeting. Yeah, let's do a motion to close the public meeting now.
I make a motion to.
It's part of
part
the
of
agenda.
Okay.
It's just part of the regular meeting, either non-voting items going in.
All right, work meeting, then we'll move into our work meeting. 8.40 outdoor lighting. Speaking of ordinances that have been lost,
Yeah, no, I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were
Not
gonna
this
say that exactly,
not this one, but before.
The general lighting
yeah.
standards.
Right.
Somewhere in either, which this one is very difficult to even work on. If that other one is not passed or not even. And give us some general idea of what they're thinking, otherwise working on this is.
So can we just send them a note that they said, hey, can you dry your canopy to?
Sure. Recommend that.
No, but I mean, why isn't that part of the process? Like, what can't we just like request an action if these are snoring? Is there an official way to do that? Because you get enough of those on record and then start to.
I don't know if there's an official way to do that other than
Maybe there should be.
when we send an ordinance, we send a request for action. We usually send a request for action form with it.
So why don't we generate those independently of sending ordinance? Why can't we? Look at our meetings if we have something we need to have?
You're running things next.
I imagine we can send them again. We never
I
have.
think that's a good idea. That's more the way I would roll, the whole thing is just like. We want to build a request for action every week, then.
That's true.
That's true. Alright, what's next?
The lighting standards.
Yeah. Are we done yet?
Well, it's so difficult to work, I thought all of the other ones gonna pass from another city.
I believe something will possibly transpire, because Kent really wants to change the lighting. I think he understands kind of the concept behind where we're going here. Where with the lighting, up to this point, you only have a couple of places where you have any ability to guide people, restrict things, whatever. This way we have, I think it was 7 different ways that you can alter different types of lights, so it gives them options and gives the town options. So could we change commercial lighting to this? We actually probably could. Regardless of the standards, because these are the actual ordinance, the general standards are just general. The commercial lighting, we don't have a commercial lighting section. So we could add commercial lighting into our ordinance, and then it would follow whatever standards we put, so. It could work. But if you wouldn't follow why we did this pattern without the general standard. So if you'd like to work on it and see if those are appropriate, and there's some things that I had in here that were, I think, had question marks. So this isn't a final document, it's gonna still take a while. But it was pretty close, some blue things that I wanted to bring in. So it's up to Cameron to decide how much we want to actually work on it tonight.
So. Give us time to this ordinance, See, you have a question on temperature, I think my personal opinion on that would be 3,000. Okay,
What do I have?
it's just a question mark,
Or a question mark?
color temperatures,
I think that's what we decided on, general standards was a 2,000, so I like that.
and I think you should say at or below, not just below. Color temperatures at or below. Are required.
Are you gonna make those changes as we go? Appreciate it.
How does this factor in with your safety as far as like vehicular safety and pedestrian safety and, safety is in your people walking around town, breaking in things, like what's the? Because a well-lit place is usually better attended to by. If you go to a restaurant and the parking lot's better, people don't care for that. Like it's dangerous, and I know Virgin, but
No.
There are-
Ahead is good.
there are places very near some Virgin.
So it would be under the additional commercial lighting standards.
Mhm.
Okay. For the parking lot lighting, and service station. Canopies. Lighting, that's in a whole nother section, we can pull that over.
Yeah.
And the parking lot lighting is already in other sections.
Right, it's a different section of the ordinance.
I'm not super passionate about it.
I went to,
John, point me where you're looking. Right now,
additional commercial lighting standards for J
under J, okay, thanks.
is, so that covers parking lot, service stations, security lighting. And then I even put special event lighting, which actually will go to temporary outdoor lighting section, which is its own section by itself.
Right.
And then
And go,
is, so again, the A through F are the standards that we have as general standards. And those regulate all of commercial, any commercial entity would have to fall into those. And then there's exemptions, then there's prohibitions, and then there's, the additional commercial lighting standards. So those are very specific. So if we come across something that's specific that we want to address, it will go under J. Unless it's signs and advertising, which is, and then those will go under there. Which then goes back again to positioning, shielding, light, color, temperature, filtering, and glare. Time of operation.
I think this is your nice.
Only taken for 5 years.
Well, it's excellent. This is what I'm talking about. That's ordinance.
I had a question up here, John, I had a question up here on,
And right where you're at, on D.
You know, we talked about that last time, it's the glare one, easy. Says directional lighting must be contained within, I don't understand why that's under glare. When it says directional lighting must be contained within the property. I agree with the statement, I don't know how that,
So we need to define directional lighting.
well,
Well, tell us what it
maybe,
is.
but I don't, is that the only thing that needs to be listed there under
Is that
glare?
the only thing where it's what we're wondering?
Alright,
What else? Yeah.
what I'm not saying, let me see if I have it nothing on the document. It's answered by, yes, you're right, that one would be one that we'd have to pull the information from. The,
Okay.
General standards, put in here to clarify what's being said,
Okay.
otherwise it
Let's note that.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, let's note that.
Let me see what I said. Okay, so under glare in general lighting standards, it talks about spot luminaires. Which are your directional. So we would have to put this piece. Spot luminaires explaining that into. That and saying your directional lighting from a spot luminaire. Has to. Be contained within your property.
Okay, does that cover, but is that comprehensive enough to, is that the only piece that need to be under there? Is this directional in the spot, linear,
Under glare,
yeah. Is that a whole concept right there under glare?
okay, so under glare, it says in the other document, lighting applications requiring the light with a color temperature above. Or, as we will change it, must be shielded and or exclusive of direct glare. Okay,
Okay.
so it's already saying it needs to be shielded from direct glare. Therefore, you're talking about spot luminaires.
Right.
Spot luminaires can be directed right to a spot,
Right,
but if you don't have them directed correctly, they're gonna shoot a spotlight outside of the space that you need, therefore causing glare, and you have to fix the glare
so can glare be contained within the property, Jen?
with filtering.
that's just like this whole conversation.
It is.
Okay, you are not, you know.
It's just common.
So yes, by filtering
You
or
know,
shielding, glare can be redirected by filtering or shielding.
So it doesn't,
If no one complains about it, is it glare?
oh, it doesn't bear what?
If no one, if I'm shooting it out into the
I know.
north fields, no one's gonna see it, so they're not gonna worry about it. It's only once somebody says, hey, that's glaring, then they have to filter it or shield it.
Yeah, so I just wanna know what the concise statement you want under this document for glare is.
I would just cut and paste the glare piece from the general guidelines and put it back over there.
Oh, my phone's not pulling general guidelines, so I'm just gonna note that and look at it.
Yeah, we might not have it
We
anymore.
might not have it, it's a whole different
You'd have to go back,
document.
You gotta go back like a year ago or something.
Well, no, I know, but is that that's the big one that
Oh, the
disappeared.
whole comprehensive one is in there, but not in this.
Well, then will you just put in there whatever it is we're supposed to have, and show me later?
Okay.
Jeez.
so I don't want to talk about intersecting streets.
You don't like the light,
Let's finish this light thing.
I've been so light.
We're getting there.
Prohibition, fine,
All the biggest problem is that in there,
commercial budget.
The searchlight.
yeah.
So, That's something that's always been in there. I would have, they're kind of fun.
I've been driven for the town reopening of the city offices.
Yeah, or the harvest fest. We have
Yeah.
it in there.
The only thing on the parking lot lighting, I think that the only thing that I think would be good to add to that is for larger parking lots, so
Oh, I thought it did have that. I don't think it needed.
it didn't make it into here if you did, but I think the automatic reduction in timing, it would be required for parking lots above a certain size.
Required, not just recommended.
Right, it should always be recommended, but required.
I like that.
if they're in a certain
I
size.
like that.
Oh, I do have the last sentence, but you're saying it should be required.
What size?
It is strongly recommended, but we should say is required for a certain size.
Yeah, what size?
Okay, so it's strongly recommended, and then we put whatever the next thing is there, and put it as lots over X amount of acres are required.
More than so many parking.
So all of
More than,
our.
that's a good way to do it. How do we decide what section? Good.
Can I put something in line like that right now?
I don't know, I would say that,
One way.
I would say that, like,
Okay,
you wanna put it for things that are gonna have a high amount of traffic, 50 and late into the night, yeah, I would say like 50, 40, 50, or more. So then make your hotels, you know, traffic homes.
most of it.
Hotel, like if it's a large restaurant, George's would be under probably. The small restaurants wouldn't be required, but gas stations, big, big service stations would probably be required. Yeah. And maybe you put that in there, the service stations are required because, like, I bet the Maverick doesn't have 50 parking spots. That's true. And that's it. Or we take care of that with the service station canopy lights, we just require the canopy lights to be turned off. I don't know if you want to turn it off. That's what we require of. In the conditional.
Yeah, that has to.
After 11 o'clock, they have to turn the can. They can keep the little pump light on, but they can't keep the big canopy lights on all night. So if you made that standard for all jurisdictions, yeah.
That's a question.
Security lighting is fine.
Let me see.
Okay, got a note on there.
Advertising is fine. On the advertising one, I don't know if you wanna prohibit, what's one of those light fluorescent? What are they used for?
Yeah.
Neon.
Neon,
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
I want to do that in the signing one, the advertising one. You're gonna try to keep that.
What about moving lights?
Yeah, the signs.
Is it on there? Is that in the moving?
I tried to just cut and paste most of the stuff that was already in our sign ordinances, but I like.
Do we have moving or running lights? We have.
That is prohibited already, yeah.
I'll do that for very long.
The same as commercial.
So with the neon, it's not about like the small little open neon sign, it's more about like some places have big neon signs that.
Yeah, we don't do circuits like this.
You know, yes, exactly. Other than that, like. I think everything else is fine.
exemptions, that's the question mark. I wondered what you were thinking of that. You this is work meeting stuff too, by the way. It'll be better. You're like, no, I already see the no in your eyes.
Oh,
Yeah. there you go.
oh, you already did that. The dark background with white lettering is required if there is no, that's good.
Yeah.
3,000, I think is good.
I think the glare, whatever you say about the glare here needs to, whether we measure what glare is doing or not doing, like, does it go outside the property? I don't know. I think we just need to match to, wherever you mentioned glare, I think the prohibition or the recommendation needs to be the same, if that makes sense. Measure the same way. In other words, does it not go past the property line? Is it eliminated altogether? Is it a glare? Just it's a language thing, just keep it consistent.
Glare on here.
Wherever glare is, I think it should be measured or define glare or regulate glare by the same, in the same parameters. Does that make sense?
I'll put a note on that.
Yeah.
Just so the glares match.
And make the glares match, okay? Talking about the glare and just saying. No.
We'll find glares.
Oh, glare, did you?
We do.
Yes. There's no my glasses.
So if you put a filter on,
And we wouldn't glare. I'm told.
What I hear, so you'll learn this back, maybe, okay, what's next?
I think that's it. That's all the lighting. We can go on to the intersecting streets.
okay.
Hold up, intersecting streets. Y'all came for an exciting meeting. Boy, did you
You
guys
came.
just.
Yeah. Yeah. If you came for a nap though, there you go.
Yeah, it's a good meeting.
I was in. Good meetings. Intersecting streets, you want me to explain this one a little, or?
You got our full attention.
We do, Ken?
Go ahead.
Okay, so
Here, real
this,
quick on that lighting ordinance, you guys would put a public hearing next,
No,
or
no, we're not ready. We're not
Yeah.
ready.
There's like 3 changes you had to make, and we're good to go.
Wait, there's a whole bunch of mystery stuff that's getting added. We're not.
There wasn't mystery stuff. He was adding like 1 line that he read to us.
I don't think it's.
It's not ready.
Whatever.
not ready, another work meeting?
Fine, whatever.
That was good last time. It's really, I think, maybe we have to bring up the general guidelines.
I think we should.
Resubmit those at the same time.
Yeah.
Do a Hail Mary.
Mary.
Okay, intersecting streets. Clearview Hub. There was lots of information down at the bottom on this one.
Yeah.
Where I copied and pasted a bunch of stuff from other
Yeah.
towns. This was brought up by multiple citizens over the last, I don't know, a couple of years, more recently as well. And so I got looking into it, because they're saying, well, some places say it's 4 foot, some places say it's 3 foot. I got looking at ours, I'm like, it's 2 foot and 40. Which, to explain that, 2 foot at your intersections, 40 foot out, and then a triangle. And I got looking at that, and that was like ordinance done way back in Salt Lake or something.
There's this copy paste.
Yeah, it was, yeah, so, I went through quite a few of them in Washington County. And there was more kind of a consensus more towards, 3 foot, the 3 foot is the mostly what I saw with 30 foot. 30 foot is how far you can be, you can park to a corner of an intersection. So I figured, well, the car can park there, they're gonna be blocking it, they're gonna be more than 4 feet tall. So, the citizens were asking for 4 foot. We can do whatever, we can suggest what we want, I put 4 in there, just as a starting point, we want to go down to 3. But I think 2 is just unreasonable. Or if somebody wants to put a wall, or a fence, or a hedge, or
Well, those
and all
three,
kinds of things.
yeah,
Yep. Yeah. So pretty much I drove around the town too, and pretty much none of the fences that are on the property lines in the intersection meet our code. So I'd rather bring the code to meet them rather than if we had somebody trying to enforce it, it would be ridiculous. So,
I thought it was 4 foot, to be honest with you, but. Seems like 3 foot is the consensus, I'm happy to stick with what other towns have done.
you know, some towns don't, a lot of towns don't have anything. But, and then state law doesn't have anything either.
So like
That's
4?
municipalities.
why did you decide for instead of 3?
So the 4 is just is what we allow in the front of the person's yard anyways.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, if 4 is there, is the intersection. Bring it down 1 foot, is that gonna make a difference? Figured a consistent wall clear across 4 foot. And for me, that's just aesthetics. Otherwise, they have to bring it down a foot, if they have a 4 foot regular, and then bring it down at the intersection on the corner. So that's why I just said 4 foot.
I don't know, but not actually, that's true.
So when you're talking about this clear view, is this from the corner back 30 feet?
Yes,
From each corner, back each direction?
yes. So the interesting part is there's setbacks, but our streets already have it. Are already in essence set back, even though people are putting it on the property line. Our roads don't go all the way to the property line because you're right of ways. So the right of way is bigger than the road itself. For now. So I would really like to hear what Wyatt has to say about this. Take it out. Take it out, clearly, yeah.
I know Tocqueville doesn't require it. Tocqueville doesn't have a limit.
Cause if I want to put a 6 foot tall steel fence in front of my house,
Which we have coming down.
Right. Well, I think they're just saying this, just so you can have a better view of your intersection. as you
but I
go
also
up to it.
don't care if it's out on the highway, if there's trees blocking my view on it.
That one's scary,
The trees.
the trees.
That's mostly rock.
No, there's the one spot, the trees are scary.
I imagine that the lawyer will have something to say, so I would stick with what other lawyers have said.
I don't,
Well,
I
that's a
don't think,
sentence I
I don't
actually
think
hate right
4 foot is
there.
bad.
It's kind of that compromise, like, I'm actually in agreement, I'd rather just take it out completely. Like other towns have done, not worried about it, but, yeah, then there's liability and. I hate when insurance companies. A reason for us to make laws. Is insurance.
Let's just ban all walls.
All walls.
All walls. It all.
Perfect.
Oh, well, oh, it makes sense.
You put up fences, isn't
Really cool.
I don't care.
Okay, well, I need to look into this before I. before I think about
All right, so that was a public hearing.
it. Really?
That one would be okay, just, I would like to hear.
Yeah, I'm at 3 feet, better get 3 feet in there
I
right
don't
now.
think we haven't decided yet, why are we?
We have a month to decide.
Okay.
Let's get more feedback.
I want the feedback, is what I'm saying, I'm not saying
I love
that
I
capacity,
love it.
loves feedback, but if. Depending on how that works.
Once we're not voting on the same one week, you know, I mean, same meeting, I'm happy.
All right, we'll move on to the next one.
Look, where do you want me to, or do you want me to just completely
Just the
take
project.
it out? I'm okay with taking it out and saying that.
Oh, now you guys are getting crazy.
Is the board okay then? Or take it out? Because I have to submit 4 votes.
I'm not chiming in on this, I think this is a clown show right now.
This is just at the intersection,
I
so
don't
if I
like-
live off the intersection, I can have a tall fence if I want to.
Yeah, it's 6. I think 6 is the max.
Well, it still says 1 for a wall. You can have a 6-foot fence, you can't have a 6-foot wall.
So,
All right,
we're
so
not gonna do
On the
anything
side,
like we have, Trevor said what we're gonna put on here, but you wanna put it on the public hearing next month. That's a little weird,
for feedback.
okay.
But you don't get on.
You guys, whatever. No.
I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
we still got one more item.
Oh, what?
One more. But this one will be short.
Good motion, Wyatt.
Chapter 56, development agreements. Master plan overlay district,
Deal.
MPL.
Okay.
What's MPL? Oh,
Master
master plan
plan
overlay.
overlay. So, to quickly explain this, this was written quite a long time ago. Before a lot of development was coming here, we didn't know what to expect, and so therefore a process was written. The process is riddled with plenty of difficulties for all sides. Makes it almost too difficult for staff to manage, for us to manage. It almost, I think it's 6 months before you can even get to a point where there's an agreement made. And then you can start applying for the zone change portion of it. At that point, and you can remember not too distantly, we had somebody who came in, it was suggested that they utilized it, and it would have been very difficult for him to use it as well as us to keep him stuck to that. Therefore, we talked about development agreements. Somebody said we don't even have a section about development agreements. So down at the bottom of this, I included the state law about the development agreements and how a municipality can implement those in their communities and how those would work. So this blue section here is really all I want this to be tonight. We don't have to go any further than this. Planning and zoning will commence working out types of developments that would be eligible for these agreements, as well as establishing the public processes must follow, which would include the newly formed development review committee, which
You
because
are
of that,
planning, Sean, you're planning. I'm
imagine
seeing
that. Because that law got passed, we need to change our process to include that, as well as how we fit in there, planning and zoning, how these development agreements can go in there. I'm looking more towards, we had talked about the different types of developments, multi-use developments, and saying you can have, for example, you can have a multi-use would be commercial so far back from the highway, then quasi-commercial, then
full residential beyond that. We'll just kind of lay that out, what those type of developments are. And then have people come in and get development agreements. It also says in the state code though, if you have the laws and regulations already in place, you don't have to do a development agreement because you already have those laws. So eventually this would push it into, we can develop our laws about a mixed use development. And then pass that as a separate law. And then development agreements would only be for specialized things. And kind of go in that direction. That way, it will better help the process instead of people just going up and going, oh yeah, I got this idea. And can you write a law for us to make this work? We're getting ahead of it.
I love it, getting ahead of that, I support that.
Imagine that. This
Imagine,
is only about 5-6 years in the works to do this, but we just never got around to it because it's number 56, and so we never got that far.
okay. Well, I like the planning part, I need to chew on this a minute, for sure.
But yeah,
You know what, you like the muppet that sits in the booth up there in the cycle.
That's how I.
but the initial idea though is that we don't have people coming in and believing that master plan overlay is the only one that they can use.
I don't like.
And so that one, I felt for a long time that just needs to disappear, but I wanted to have a solution of sorts. So we can start working on it, doesn't need to be deleted right now, but when we have that solution, then we can just replace
Like the direction, I hate overlay zones, I'm allergic to them, so.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Have a motion to adjourn. Ron had Commissioner comment, if you wanted to leave that in.
I was so happy to see you guys later.
So, okay, so you'll second the motion?
I will second that motion with joy.
Wyatt made the motion to adjourn, Bronwyn second that motion, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, if you guys wanna come and see Michelle's, if you wanna see Michelle's project, you're having a meeting tomorrow. Here,
Okay.
yeah, here at the old church, 6 P.M.
I don't know.
That's the lady that came in that wanted, the commercial zone to do the, wants to put the, food truck court